What's up guys? Today we're going to be breaking down this effect from BLP KOSHER's latest music video. It's kind of a flying head that lands on the body. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's super hard. It looks insane. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. Before we start, I got to let you know that I will be uploading every single day for the month of July. So make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any sauce. With that said, let's get straight into the video. So I found the inspiration for this tutorial. I saw BLP KOSHER's latest video. It had really cool transition effects in this. And what I found particular is that usually these are freeze frame transitions, so it happens on one frame. But I really like how he incorporated this kind of invisible head effect while the body is moving. So that's not something you see often. That's why I really wanted to touch on this. So we're gonna replicate this effect right here. So we're gonna replicate the same effect with our on sauce to it. Now let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this. First thing you wanna know is when your effect will end. So we're gonna start the effect right here and I put a marker right there. That's when I want the head to land. So I'm gonna cut my clip right there, Command-Shift-D. So we basically wanna make the head disappear until it lands right here. That's the first step. How we're gonna do this is by duplicating this layer. Let's do Command-D. Let's rename this one, call it background. And let's rename this layer, call it fill prep. So for now, we're gonna disable this layer. What we're gonna do on this background, we're gonna go select the ellipse tool and we're gonna create a mask over his head. And you basically want the bottom to stop where the chain is at the bottom of the neck. We're gonna go into the mask properties and keyframe this because we're gonna animate it throughout the whole sequence until there. You can press N on this frame. That way it's gonna create a outsource. That way when we play it back, we're just gonna keep the part that we're working on for now. Let's go to the other frames. And when you see a frame where his head gets out of the selection or something, you move it and you adjust it right here. Small adjustments. Since it's not a really precise mask, you can afford to move the mask path every 2 frames or so. If you want to adjust each point of the circle, all you got to do is click on mask feather and then it'll allow you to move these. And let's make another one right here. We're going to click on mask feather again, put it up where it's a bit. Excellent. So that's perfect. So now we have the selection to create the invisible background. The next step we got to do is go to the masks right here, the mask settings, and make the blending mode subtract. That way it's gonna tell the content aware fill that what is empty we need to fill. All right, so now that we have this, you want to click on the fill prep layer and go to content aware fill. If you don't have that window, you simply go to window over here and it's gonna be there. Okay, so now we can expand the alpha a little bit just to be sure, something like 25. The fill method, we want it at object. You want to make sure to check this lighting correction, put it at strong. And most importantly, the work area, you don't want it to be at entire duration or else it would do the effect on all of this, which we don't need because we only need the part that we put the input source and the output source. With that said, we're good to go. We can press on generate fill layer. There we go. So now we have the invisible background. It looks a bit silly looking at it like this, but since it's a transition that happens pretty fast, the eye doesn't really catch it. So it is perfect for our effect. So the next step we're going to do is rotoscope BLP KOSHER's head to afterwards animate it into the flying head transition where it lands on his body. How we're going to do this is by duplicating this layer, fill prep. Let's put it above everything else and then press M to go into the mask properties and we're gonna delete. Now that we have this, make sure that the resolution is at full and then you can select Alt or Option W to get the roto brush tool. You can make the brush bigger by doing Command, click and going up with the mouse or down, up to you. So now we're gonna rotoscope this. I'm gonna rotoscope the head up to the shiesty. Then you want to put the quality to best. And since our animation has a bit of motion blur, we're gonna click on use motion blur. Now that that's done, you can simply press spacebar and just press spacebar again to stop if there are any flaws in your rotoscope that you need to fix. In my case, it's looking pretty good. That is the best feeling ever because I hate spending a lot of time rotoscoping and stuff. Now we have this, it's perfect. You just need to click on freeze afterwards. We're gonna freeze the frames. Now let's go back into our composition. Now we have the head right here, and now it's time to animate it. Go to the end of the sequence, and we're gonna keyframe the position since we already know that this is where we want the head to be at the end. So let's keyframe that, and then let's go at the beginning. All right, so before we animate anything, we're just gonna change the anchor point. So press Y, and then let's put it at the middle of his head right here at the last frame. Let's just change the anchor point, put it right there, and then we're gonna keyframe the position at the end since we already want the head to be there at the last frame. Then at the beginning, we're just gonna drag the head, put it out of the frame, something like that. Then we're also gonna leave a keyframe in the middle, and then we're gonna make it go up. And now as you can see, it's looking pretty rough. That is because all of the keyframes are linear. We want to make the keyframes bezier. That way we can animate them as curves. So how we're going to do this is get the middle keyframe. We're going to first ease it with F9, and then we're gonna right click on it, go to keyframe interpolation, and make the spatial interpolation bezier. And then as you can see, we now have a curve path, so that is perfect. So now we can really control the curve that we want. We can do something like this. Now let's see what we have. So it's looking smoother, but it's still choppy. That is because the timing isn't right. Select all of those frames and ease them all using F9. And then we're gonna go into the graph editor. If your graph editor doesn't look like this, that is because it is probably at value graph. We wanna make it speed graph. So now you wanna make your curve something like this. So that means at the beginning, it'll go very fast in value and then it's gonna slow down drastically. And the same thing for the other part. So now we have this there. I don't want it to completely freeze because that's a bit unrealistic. So what we're gonna do, click twice on the middle keyframe right here and press on continuous lock outgoing to incoming. Press OK, and then we're gonna raise that just by a bit. You see, that's much better. Now we have a continuous sequence. And now to make it even more realistic, we're gonna activate motion blur. Now we have this looking pretty good. And then we're also gonna add a rotation animation to it. So we're gonna press R to go into the rotation settings. At the beginning, let's keyframe this, and we're gonna change the property to, let's do 250, and at the end you want to make sure to make it 0. And now let's see what we have. Since we added rotation, the head is pretty low, so we're gonna go back into the position. We're gonna raise that up a bit. If we go back to the original clip from the music video, as you can see, we kind of have that ghost echo trail effect, and we're gonna replicate that. Let's rename this. Instead of fill prep 2, we're gonna call it head. We're gonna pre-compose this, call it head, and then we're gonna duplicate it with Command D. And then to the bottom layer, we're gonna apply a echo effect. Let's apply the echo effect. We're gonna make the number of echoes. Let's go further in the timeline to see the result. We're gonna make the number of echoes 4. We're gonna make the decay 0.8. Or we can put it to maximum as well. Yeah, that looks cool. When we put it at maximum, we really get that natural looking echo trail effect. That's fire. To spice it up some more, give you guys some ideas, add an exposure effect and just make it slightly brighter. And then we're gonna add a hue saturation effect. Let's keyframe this and then let's put it to 1 right here. So now we get this really fire color trail. I think I'll even put some glow to it, make the intensity 0.5. When it cuts off and the effect ends, we're gonna cut these layers head. So now we get this. So as you can see, we almost have our end result, but it doesn't look quite convincing. Like it doesn't really have that much impact and energy to it. So that's why I'm gonna add a shake to it. And I'm actually going to use my brand new camera shake pack for After Effects. It is such a time saver. So in this pack, there are 20 plus drag and drop presets that are really made to save you time and to really add that energy to your edits. So I'm going to use quick medium hit. It's one of my favorite ones. We can cut this end right here and cut this end right here. So if you guys want to invest in your editing workflow and save a bunch of time and also level up your visuals, this is definitely the pack for you. I'll be leaving a special discount down below. It is welcome 15 for 15% off. Definitely check it out. So that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and please let me know in the comments what type of tutorials you would like me to cover next. If you still feel like learning, you can go watch this video right there and I'll see you very soon. Actually, tomorrow. Peace.